From the smallest Jeeps to the most powerful tanks, this is the complete catalogue of every vehicle used by the United States in World War II. Let's start with the light reconnaissance vehicles. Light reconnaissance and utility vehicles. Willys MB Jeep. The Willys MB Jeep was the most iconic American vehicle of World War II. This small four-wheel drive vehicle could carry 4 soldiers and their equipment across any terrain. Over 360,000 units were produced during the war. The Jeep served in every theatre of combat, from North Africa to the Pacific Islands. It was used for reconnaissance, transporting officers, carrying wounded soldiers, and even mounting machine guns. Its lightweight design and reliability made it invaluable to American forces. Dodge WC. The Dodge WC series was a family of light trucks that served alongside the Jeep. These vehicles were slightly larger and could carry more cargo or pull small artillery pieces. The WC-51 and WC-52 models were the most common variants. They featured 4-wheel drive and could navigate rough battlefield conditions. American forces used them extensively in Europe and the Pacific for supply transport and command duties. The trucks proved dependable and became essential for moving equipment and personnel. Ford GPW. The Ford GPW was mechanically identical to the Willys MB Jeep, but manufactured by Ford Motor Company. Ford produced over 277,000 units to meet the massive demand for light vehicles. The GPW featured the same engine, transmission, and capabilities as the Willys version. It served in identical roles across all combat zones. Soldiers could not tell the difference between the two models in field conditions. This standardization helped simplify maintenance and part supply for military mechanics. Dodge T-214 WC. The Dodge T-214 WC series weapons carrier was designed specifically for mounting heavy weapons. This variant could carry a 37mm anti-tank gun or heavy machine guns. The vehicle provided mobile firepower for infantry units. It saw extensive use in the Italian campaign and the invasion of France. The weapons carrier gave American troops the ability to quickly reposition their firepower during battles. Its sturdy construction withstood the stress of mounting and firing heavy weapons. Harley-Davidson WLA motorcycle. The Harley-Davidson WLA motorcycle was the primary two-wheeled vehicle used by American forces. Over 88,000 units were produced for military service. The motorcycle was used by military police, dispatch riders, and reconnaissance scouts. It could travel quickly on roads where larger vehicles might be spotted. The WLA featured military modifications, including guards and mounts for equipment. Dispatch riders used these motorcycles to carry messages between units when radio communication was unavailable. Indian Model 741 motorcycle. The Indian Model 741 motorcycle served alongside the Harley-Davidson as an alternative two-wheeled vehicle. Approximately 35,000 units were delivered to the military. The Indian motorcycle featured a smaller engine but was more maneuverable in tight spaces. Military police prefer it for patrol duties in occupied areas. The motorcycle saw service primarily in the European theatre. Its lighter weight made it easier to transport across rivers and obstacles during advances. Dodge WC-54 ambulance. The Dodge WC-54 ambulance was a specialized variant designed to evacuate wounded soldiers from battlefields. This vehicle could carry 4 stretcher patients or 7 sitting wounded. It featured a closed body to protect patients from weather and enemy fire. Medical units relied on these ambulances to move casualties to field hospitals quickly. The WC-54 saved countless lives by reducing the time between injury and treatment. It operated on all fronts throughout the war. Ford GPA amphibious Jeep. The Ford GPA amphibious Jeep was designed to cross rivers and beaches during invasions. This vehicle could drive on land and propel itself through water using a propeller. Only 12,700 units were produced due to performance issues. The GPA struggled with its weight in water and was less capable than dedicated amphibious vehicles. It saw limited use during the Sicily invasion and in the Pacific. Most were eventually transferred to the Soviet Union under Lend-Lease agreements. Willys MB trailer. The Willys MB trailer was a small cargo trailer towed behind Jeeps to increase carrying capacity. These trailers could haul ammunition, supplies, or equipment. They were simple in design, with 2 wheels and basic suspension. Combat units used them extensively to extend the Jeep's utility without requiring larger vehicles. The trailers proved durable and could handle rough terrain. Thousands were produced and distributed throughout American forces worldwide. Dodge WC-62 and WC-63. The Dodge WC-6x6 variants, with increased cargo capacity. These vehicles featured an additional axle for better load distribution. They could carry heavier supplies than standard WC models. Engineer units and supply companies relied on them for transporting construction materials and bulk supplies. The six-wheel design improved performance in mud and soft ground. They served throughout Europe and the Pacific in support roles. Medium trucks and transport vehicles. GMC CCK-WU. The GMC CCK-W was the workhorse cargo truck of the American military during World War II. Over 560,000 units were produced in 2.5-ton and 5-ton variants. This 6x6 truck could carry troops, supplies, ammunition, and equipment across any terrain. It featured a powerful engine and reliable drivetrain that performed in desert heat and winter snow. The CCK-W supplied frontline units throughout Europe and the Pacific. Its versatility and dependability made it indispensable for maintaining supply lines during rapid advances. Studebaker US-6. The Studebaker US-6 was another 2.5-ton truck used extensively during the war. Studebaker produced over 200,000 units, with many sent to the Soviet Union. The US-6 featured 3 axles and excellent off-road capability. It carried similar loads to the GMC CCK-W, but had different mechanical specifications. American forces used it primarily in support roles behind the front lines. The truck proved reliable and maintained good performance in harsh conditions. International M-5H-6. The International M-5H-6 was a heavy 6x6 tractor truck designed to pull large trailers. This vehicle could tow artillery pieces, tank transporters, and heavy cargo trailers. It featured a powerful engine specifically designed for hauling rather than cargo carrying. The M-5H-6 was essential for moving heavy equipment that could not transport itself. Artillery units relied on these tractors to reposition their guns quickly. The vehicle saw service in all major campaigns. Federal Motor Truck. The Federal Motor Truck was a series of cargo carriers built to military specifications. These trucks served in various configurations, including cargo, dump, and specialized variants. Federal produced over 40,000 units during the war years. The trucks were simpler in design than the GMC CCK-WA, but equally reliable. They served primarily in stateside training camps and rear area logistics. Their contribution to the war effort was significant, despite not seeing frontline combat regularly. Mack No Series. The Mack No Series was a heavy-duty truck used for specialized transport missions. Mack produced several thousand units in different configurations. These trucks were built for durability and could handle extreme loads. They transported aircraft engines, tank components, and other heavy military equipment. Rear echelon units and depot facilities relied on Mack trucks for their strength. The No Series demonstrated excellent reliability throughout its service life. Diamond T Model 980. The Diamond T Model 980 was a heavy tank transporter used to move damaged or operational tanks. This massive vehicle could carry tanks weighing up to 30 tons. The M19 tank transporter trailer was specifically designed to work with the Diamond T tractor. Moving tanks by transporter saved wear on their tracks and allowed faster redeployment. The 1980s saw extensive use in Europe, where tank battles were common. Its powerful engine and sturdy construction made it ideal for this demanding role. Ward LaFrance Model 1000 Series. The Ward LaFrance Model 1000 series were heavy wreckers, designed to recover damaged vehicles. These specialized trucks featured heavy-duty winches and lifting equipment. Recovery units used them to clear disabled vehicles from roads and battlefields. The wreckers could pull trucks from ditches and right overturned vehicles. Keeping supply routes clear was critical to maintaining offensive momentum. Ward LaFrance wreckers served throughout all theaters of operation. Autocar U8144T. The Autocar U-8144T was a four-wheel drive tractor used for various towing missions. This vehicle pulled semi-trailers loaded with supplies and equipment. It featured a short wheelbase for better maneuverability than longer trucks. Autocar produced several thousand units for military service. The U-8144T worked primarily in rear areas and ports. Its reliability and pulling power made it valuable for logistics operations. White model. 666. The white model 666 was a 6x6 cargo and towing vehicle. This truck could haul cargo or pull artillery depending on mission requirements. White Motor Company produced thousands during the war. The 666 featured excellent ground clearance and off-road performance. It served with field artillery units and supply companies. The truck's versatility allowed commanders to adapt it to changing operational needs. Brockway B66. The Brockway B666 was another heavy 6x6 truck used for cargo and artillery towing. Brockway built these trucks to the same general specifications as other American military trucks. Several thousand units entered service during the war. They performed reliably in support roles across different environments. The B-666 demonstrated the American industry's capacity to produce standardized military vehicles. It contributed to the overwhelming logistical advantage American forces enjoyed. Armored vehicles and tanks. M4 Sherman. The M4 Sherman medium tank was the primary American battle tank throughout World War II. Over 49,000 units were produced in numerous variants. The Sherman featured a 75mm main gun and could carry a crew of 5. It was reliable, easy to maintain, and could be produced quickly. The Sherman fought in every major American campaign, from North Africa through Germany. While not as heavily armored as German tanks, its reliability and numbers proved decisive in combat. M3 Stuart Light Tank. The M3 Stuart Light Tank served as the main American light tank in the early war years. This small tank featured a 37mm gun and thin armor protection. The Stuart was fast and maneuverable, ideal for reconnaissance and infantry support. It saw extensive combat in North Africa and the Pacific. By 1943, its light armament became less effective against improved enemy tanks. The Stuart remained useful for scouting and rear area security throughout the war. M3 Lee Medium. The M3 Lee medium tank was an interim design, used before the Sherman became available. The Lee featured both a 75mm gun in a sponson mount and a 37mm gun in a turret. This unusual arrangement resulted from design compromises. The Lee fought in North Africa, where it proved effective against German armor initially. American forces quickly replaced it with the Sherman as production increased. Many Lees were transferred to British and Soviet forces under Lend-Lease. M24 Chaffee Light Tank. The M24 Chaffee light tank replaced the Stuart in late 1944. This improved design featured a 75mm gun in a fully rotating turret. The Chaffee provided better firepower while maintaining light tank mobility. It entered combat during the Battle of the Bulge and proved effective. The tank served primarily with reconnaissance units that needed more firepower than the Stuart provided. Production reached approximately 4,700 units before war's end. N26 Pershing Heavy Tank. The N26 Pershing Heavy Tank was America's answer to German heavy armor. This tank featured thick armor and a powerful 90mm gun. The Pershing could engage Tiger and Panther tanks on equal terms. Only 200 units reached Europe before the war ended. Those that saw combat performed well, but arrived too late to impact major battles. The Pershing design influenced American tank development for years afterward. M5 Stuart Light Tank. The M5 Stuart light tank was an improved version with better automotive components. This variant featured a different engine arrangement for easier maintenance. The M5 served in the same roles as the M3 Stuart. Production reached over 8,800 units during the war. It equipped many American armored reconnaissance battalions. The M5 remained in service through the war's end, despite its limitations. M18 Hellcat Tank. The M18 Hellcat tank destroyer was the fastest tracked vehicle of World War II. This lightly armored vehicle featured a powerful 76mm gun in an open turret. The Hellcat could reach speeds of 55 miles per hour on roads. Tank destroyer units used it to ambush enemy armor and quickly relocate. The Hellcat fought effectively in Europe during 1944 and 1945. Its speed and firepower made it dangerous despite thin armor protection. M10 Wolverine Tank. The M10 Wolverine tank destroyer was built on the Sherman tank chassis. This vehicle mounted a 3-inch gun in an open-top turret. Over 6,400 units were produced for American and Allied use. The M10 served as a mobile anti-tank platform for American forces. It saw extensive combat in Italy, France, and Germany. The open turret made crews vulnerable but allowed better observation. M36 Jackson Tank. The M36 Jackson tank destroyer entered service in late 1944. with a 90mm gun. This powerful weapon could destroy any German tank from the front. The M36 used the same chassis as the M10, but with an improved turret. American forces used it extensively during the final campaigns in Europe. The Jackson provided American units with effective anti-armor capability. Production totaled approximately 2,300 units. M8 Greyhound. The M8 Greyhound armored car was a six-wheeled reconnaissance vehicle. This lightly armored car featured a 37mm gun and could reach high speeds on roads. The M8 served with cavalry reconnaissance units throughout Europe and the Pacific. Its speed made it ideal for scouting ahead of main forces. Over 8,500 units were produced during the war. The Greyhound performed well in its intended role despite light armament. Specialized and support vehicles. M4 Tractor. The M4 Tractor was a high-speed artillery tractor used to move heavy guns. This flea-tracked vehicle could pull field artillery at speeds up to 35 miles per hour. The M4 featured an open crew compartment and could carry artillery crew members. Field artillery battalions relied on these tractors for rapid deployment. The vehicle performed excellently in mobile warfare situations. Over 5,500 units were produced for American forces. M5 Tractor. The M5 Tractor was a lighter artillery tractor designed for smaller guns. This tracked vehicle pulled 105mm howitzers and similar artillery pieces. The M5 featured better cross-country performance than wheeled vehicles. Artillery units appreciated its reliability in difficult terrain. Production exceeded 8,500 units during the war. The tractor saw service in all combat theaters. M29 Riesel. The M29 Riesel was a small tracked cargo carrier designed for snow and swamp operations. This lightweight vehicle could traverse terrain impassable to wheeled vehicles. The Weasel carried supplies to isolated units in mountains and forests. It proved particularly valuable during winter operations in Europe. Over 15,000 units were produced, with many sent to cold weather regions. The vehicle demonstrated excellent mobility in its specialized role. WWII. WWII amphibious truck was a six-wheel drive vehicle that could operate on land and water. This remarkable vehicle combined the GMC CCKW truck with a boat hull. The WWII proved invaluable during amphibious invasions across Europe and the Pacific. It carried supplies directly from ships to beaches without requiring port facilities. Over 21,000 units were produced during the war. The WWII remained in service long after World War II ended. LVT Tracked Landing. The LVT Tracked Landing Vehicle was designed specifically for amphibious assaults. This armored vehicle could carry troops or cargo from ships to hostile beaches. The LVT could navigate through water and continue inland without stopping. Marine Corps units relied heavily on these vehicles for Pacific Island invasions. Various models carried different armament and protection levels. Production exceeded 18,000 units in all variants. M30 Cargo. The M30 cargo carrier was a fully tracked vehicle designed to carry supplies in difficult terrain. This vehicle featured an open cargo bed and tracked suspension. Engineer units and artillery battalions used it to transport equipment. The M30 could operate where wheeled trucks became stuck. Several thousand units entered service during the war. The carrier proved valuable in mountainous regions and soft ground. M2 Half-Track. The M2 Half-Track was an armored personnel carrier that combined wheels and tracks. This vehicle could carry infantry squads into combat with some protection. The M2 featured a front-mounted machine gun for self-defense. Mechanized infantry units used half-tracks extensively in Europe. The vehicle could keep pace with tanks during advances. Over 13,000 M2 half-tracks were produced. M3 Half-Track. The M3 Half-Track was similar to the M2, but could carry more troops. This variant became the standard American armored personnel carrier. The M3 carried a squad of soldiers plus crew members. It served in every major campaign from North Africa through Germany. The half-track provided mobility and limited protection to infantry. Total production exceeded 41,000 units in various configurations. M16 Multiple Gun. The M16 multiple gun motor carriage was a half-track mounting four 50-caliber machine guns. This vehicle provided mobile anti-aircraft defense for ground units. The quad-mounted guns could put tremendous firepower into the air. The M16 also proved devastating against ground targets when needed. Air defense battalions deployed these vehicles to protect tank formations. Several thousand units entered service during the war. M15 Combination Gun. The M15 combination gun motor carriage mounted both a 37mm cannon and 2 machine guns on a half-track chassis. This vehicle provided anti-aircraft protection with greater range than machine guns alone. The 37mm gun could engage aircraft at higher altitudes. Ground units also used it against light armored vehicles. The M15 served throughout the European and Pacific campaigns. Production totaled approximately 680 units. Heavy equipment and engineering vehicles. M1 Armored Bulldozer. The M1 Armored Bulldozer was created by adding armor to standard Caterpillar tractors. These vehicles cleared obstacles and prepared defensive positions under fire. Engineer units used them extensively during beach landings and urban combat. The armor protected operators from small arms fire and shell fragments. Armored bulldozers proved essential for maintaining battlefield mobility. They cleared rubble, filled craters, and removed obstacles throughout all theaters. M4A4 Dozer Tank. The M4A4 Dozer tank combined the Sherman tank chassis with a bulldozer blade. This vehicle could clear obstacles while protected by tank armor. Engineer units and tank battalions used dozer tanks to breach obstacles. The blade could clear mines, fill ditches, and demolish buildings. Several hundred Sherman tanks were converted to this configuration. They proved invaluable during operations in built-up areas. Caterpillar D7 Tractor. The Caterpillar D7 Tractor was a heavy construction vehicle used by engineer units. This powerful bulldozer built roads, cleared forests, and prepared airfield sites. The D7 was not armored, but operated behind the front lines. Engineer battalions relied on these tractors for major construction projects. Thousands served throughout the war, building infrastructure. The D7 demonstrated the importance of engineering equipment to modern warfare. Alice Chalmers HD-10 Tractor. The Alice Chalmers HD-10 Tractor was another heavy construction vehicle used for engineering work. This bulldozer performed similar tasks to the Caterpillar D7. Engineer units used it to build roads and prepare defensive positions. The HD-10 was rugged and reliable in harsh conditions. It served primarily in rear areas, supporting base construction. American industry produced these tractors in large numbers. See Caterpillar D8 Tractor. The Caterpillar D8 Tractor was the largest bulldozer commonly used by American forces. This massive machine moved enormous amounts of earth quickly. Engineer units used it for major earth-moving projects, like airfield construction. The D8 was too large for frontline work, but essential for base development. It operated throughout the Pacific, building facilities on captured islands. The tractor's power enabled rapid construction of military infrastructure. International TD-18 Tractor. The International TD-18 Tractor was a medium bulldozer used for various engineering tasks. This vehicle balanced power with mobility better than larger tractors. Engineer companies used it for road maintenance and construction. The TD-18 could operate in areas too confined for larger equipment. Several thousand units served with American engineering battalions. The tractor proved reliable and maintainable in field conditions. M31 Tank Recovery Vehicle. The M31 Tank Recovery Vehicle was built on the M3 Lee chassis for recovering disabled tanks. This vehicle featured a crane and winches for heavy lifting. Recovery units used it to salvage damaged tanks from battlefields. The M31 could tow tanks weighing over 30 tons. Keeping tanks operational required efficient recovery and repair systems. Several hundred M31 vehicles served throughout the war. M32 Tank Recovery Vehicle. The M32 Tank Recovery Vehicle was based on the M4 Sherman chassis. This improved recovery vehicle could handle heavier loads than the M31. The M32 featured an 81mm mortar for laying smoke screens during recoveries. Tank units relied on these vehicles to quickly recover damaged Shermans. The M32 served throughout Europe and the Pacific. Its effectiveness reduced tank losses by enabling rapid repairs. Ward-Lafrance M1. The Ward-Lafrance M1A1 heavy wrecker could recover trucks and light armored vehicles. These specialized wreckers featured powerful winches and lifting equipment. Maintenance companies used them to clear disabled vehicles from roads. The M1A1 kept supply routes open during advances. Several thousand units served with ordnance and maintenance battalions. The wrecker proved indispensable for maintaining vehicle fleet readiness. Kenworth M1. The Kenworth M1 heavy wrecker was similar to the Ward-Lafrance, but built by different manufacturers. This vehicle performed identical recovery missions with maintenance units. Kenworth produced several thousand units during the war years. The wreckers operated primarily in rear areas, recovering broken-down trucks. They contributed significantly to keeping supply vehicles operational. The M1 demonstrated excellent reliability throughout its service. From the nimble jeeps that crossed every battlefield to the mighty tanks that broke enemy lines, these were the vehicles that carried America to victory. Each machine played its vital role in the largest conflict in human history. If you enjoyed this complete catalogue, subscribe for more detailed military history documentaries and hit the bell icon to never miss our next deep dive into the weapons and machines of war.